So first of all, Richard, we've gone into the shop and we've bought our pointer maggots. What do?
Well, firstly, we asked for them to have no maize on them whatsoever. We then tie the bag down, taking all the air out, and we then leave them in the fridge overnight. Next morning, we open the bag, put a small handful of krill powder in, shake the bag up to distribute it all, and then put them in the freezer for 2 days.
Put them in the deep freeze. When they come out, this is exactly what they're going to look like. They're going to be dead, they're going to be long, they're going to be super soft.
Lovely and soft they are.
And if you want to taste one?
Not really, no.
Okay, I can tell you now, everybody, they don't taste like maggots, they taste like krill. And that's what the fish love. Well, krill actually is a crustacean, and you'd probably know it commonly as a shrimp or a prawn. But the krill lives in very, very cold water, and this is the reason this works. If you were to take a shrimp or a prawn from the Mediterranean and try to get successful bait out of it for the winter, it wouldn't work very well. Because these creatures live in extremely cold water, it's almost like they've got a built-in antifreeze. And that means that their key molecules, their key attractors, the key amino acids are tiny, whereas they're much bigger in a warmer water, shrimp or krill as we're going to call it. You can eat the stuff, it tastes fantastic. And of course, we just don't use it for doing krilled maggots. It is fantastic to add in to any of our ground baits. And the edge comes especially when it's cold. So as that water gets colder, you start putting 10, 20% of this powdered krill into your bait, the edge it will give you will be astronomical. The great thing is it's a cheap way of fishing, but it's a deadly way. And of course, when we go out, we take perhaps 2, 3, 4 pints of these. If you don't use them, pop them back in the deep freeze. Every time they thaw out, they'll absorb more and more of this powdered krill. So effectively, they get better and better. Obviously, we've got a feed to attract them. So just lead me through. This looks interesting. What is it?
This is the Maruku EFG 151 ground bait. I like using it in the margins simply because it's got really large particles and it really attracts the larger fish.
Okay, 151 of course is a very interesting bait. It's in the series, the 150 series. We can have 150, 151. If it was really cold, we'd be using the 150, which in actual fact is a lower food value. This particular bag contains 40 different ingredients. What we have got here, of course, is controlled breakdown speed and the snap, crackle, pop. But how do we use it? We've got to feed something, Richard, and this 151 is what you've been using. Just show me what happens when you pot it in.
Right. Simply squeeze it into a ball, put it in the toss pot, drop it in.
40 ingredients in 151, this series. It's aimed at quality fish. It isn't all species bait, but obviously the bigger cyprinids really, really love it. Controlled breakdown speed is really important on this, and we can see that some of these components have only just started to break down, and so the key attractants, the key amino acids, are really just starting to spread out through the water. Also, we've got the snap, crackle, pop that I was talking about. If we'd got a hydrophone in there, we'd hear it snap, crackle, pop. You definitely do not need a riddle, and you do not mix it the night before. You literally mix it 10 minutes before you start fishing. That way, you really get all the advantages of the science that is in there. Well, Richard, we've talked about how good the bait is, but you make it look so simple. We can't get a rig much simpler than this. I know we're fishing down in the margins because it's nice and warm and that's where the big fish are going to be, but we still catch in the winter in the deep water, 6 and 8 and 10 foot.
That's correct.
But in this warm water, you cannot get anything more simple than what you've got. Just tell us how you're fishing this.
I'm using 019 main line straight through to
So no prisoners, that's
no
the point
prisoners,
with it. Okay.
A size 16 hook with 3 maggots on, a little bulk midway and a 0.2 float.
Okay, so it's a very, very simple rig.
Very simple. It's very important to make sure you've got a big enough toss pot. Most people do not feed enough. They use these little tiny things and it's not good enough. You need to put plenty of bait in.
And on a good day, how many maggots do you think you could get through?
5 or 6 pints.
Crikey. But you've already told me, you don't need good maggots. You can use all your old maggots up because when you freeze them down and they come like that, they're all good.
They get better and better, even 2 or 3 times through the freezer.
How many gallons of maggots do you think one of those bags will do?
Almost 2 gallons.
2 gallon out of 1 bag can't be bad.
That's very
It
cheap.
really does become a cheap way of fishing. And like I say, you've turned an humble maggot into a winning method all through the year.